The story begins with Mikoto, a high school girl on the school roof. She doesn't feel like she belongs in this world and prefers to jump off the roof rather than waste any more space. Before she jumps, Mr. Heiba appears to stop her. He's the physics teacher, a young lazy man addicted to horse racing. He approaches the edge of the roof and asks her what made her want to jump off the roof, and she embarrassedly confesses that she was rejected by Kazuma, her first crush. Mr. Heiba doesn't think that's a good enough reason to end it all when there are worse things to jump off the roof for, such as salaries or job hunting. She says it's not just that. She lives alone, doesn't talk to anyone at school, and knows she's so gloomy that she will never make friends, so she doesn't want to continue living. Besides, she's heard that when someone jumps off the roof, they faint and feel nothing when they hit the ground. Mr. Heiba laughs because he knows she's a good student and can't believe she didn't do the math herself. Her jump into the abyss is 10 meters, so she'll hit the ground in 1.4 seconds. She won't have time to faint, and Mikoto can't believe he's bragging about his physics knowledge right now. Then he says Kazuma is a fool for rejecting her. She's a pretty, polite, and diligent girl. Anyone would fall for her, even he likes her, which shocks her so much that she almost falls. He grabs her in his arms and suggests she fall for him rather than fall off the roof. She breaks away from his arms and tells him he's arrogant to think she could fall in love so quickly. After that, she runs away from the roof and goes back to class. After school, Mr. Heiba follows Mikoto and distracts her when he sees her staring at the train tracks from above. He tells her that when people jump onto the train tracks, they always cause trouble for others because they're late wherever they're going. Amazingly, this distracts her long enough for her to come back to her senses, and he says he's really hungry but lost his wallet because of a student he had to save earlier today. Then he puts his arm around her shoulders and leads her to a taiyaki stand, but she takes his arm off his shoulders and says that someone might see them and think badly of them because they're a student and a teacher, but he slyly says that no one has to find out. After that, they sit down to wait for their taiyakist, and the cook playfully warns Mikoto to be careful with Heiba because he's a womanizer, which makes her think he's not in love with her like he claims. While waiting for their taiyakist, Mr. Heiba asks her why she was contemplating jumping off a high place again, and she says that her classmates found out she confessed her feelings to Kazuma, and now they tease him about the fact that the loner of the class likes him. The situation is so mortifying that she can't help but burst into tears, and he comforts her by giving her his handkerchief. After that, he goes to get their taiyakist and she sees his wallet sticking out of his bag. It turns out he lied about his lost wallet to get her away from the train tracks. When he returns, she thanks him sincerely, and he flirtatiously bites her taiyaki, making her blush. Immediately, she goes to order another one, saying that an insect bit hers, but in reality, she wanted to hide her blushes and how fast her heart was beating. Days later, Heiba sees Mikoto jumping off a bridge and without thinking twice, chases after her, thinking the worst. Fortunately, this time she wanted to jump off a bridge for a good reason. She did it to grab a teddy bear from a little boy. Fortunately, Mikoto managed to get the bear back, but she lost her jacket, and Heiba lost his bag, which drifted downriver. As a cold breeze blows, Heiba puts his jacket on Mikoto, joking that her wet shirt is distracting him, and she threatens to take him to the police. After that, they go to her house to dry off. He admits he followed her after school because she emanated a negative aura today, and he was worried about her, which surprises her. After putting on some dry clothes, she makes tea and tells him that she practically lives alone. She lives with her brother, but he works so much that she hardly ever sees him, and her parents live far away. All of this is her fault. She chose this high school because it seemed cool and convinced her parents that she'd be fine living on her own, but everything went wrong. She's a loner, has no friends, and the boy she likes rejected her. Heiba realizes her thoughts are spiraling negatively again and asks her to stop and focus on him. Her thoughts should be spiraling toward her crush him. Mikoto is surprised by his audacity and goes to dry her hair, but when she returns, Heiba is no longer in the kitchen but in her room. He says he just wanted to see her room, but she notices he's hiding her pencil case in his pocket and takes it out. She doesn't understand why he would want to look through that until she opens it and sees her yellow box cutter. She immediately realizes that he thought she would use the box cutter dangerously and assures him that it never occurred to her to hurt herself with it. He confesses that in the river, he saw the wound on her wrist thanks to her wet shirt and got worried. Mikoto realizes what he's referring to and says that the wound was caused while cooking, and he sighs in relief, though he says any wound will worry him because you always worry about the person you like, making her blush. The next day, Mikoto and Heiba are on the roof again, this time for something mundane. Drying Heiba's attendance sheets as a teacher that got wet in the river yesterday. After putting them all in the sun, Mikoto stands again on the edge of the roof and says that she realized he was in her position in the past because of how he reacted to her, and he just says it happened to him in high school. Makoto understands the sentiment well. When she decided to jump off the roof, she kept thinking how nobody would care if she were gone. The world would still function without her. But yesterday something changed. When Heiba jumped into the river after her, she realized that someone would notice her absence, and not only that, she now wants to keep living. Suddenly, Heiba hugs her tightly, and she thinks it's because of her confession, but she soon realizes he wanted to keep her from seeing Kazuma and a girl walking home together. When they leave, Heiba advises her to push like a gorilla whoever hugs her unexpectedly. She thanks him for what he did and assures him that she can overcome the fiasco with Kazuma on her own. After all, these days she can't stop thinking about Heiba. At that moment, a gust of wind scatters the attendance sheets they were drying, and they fall into the hands of the principal, who threatens to cut Mr. Heiba's salary once again. A few days later, Mr. Heiba joins his students on their morning jog, though he quickly tires, earning teases from everyone for having low stamina. After jogging, he and Makoto overhear a group of girls talking about not walking home alone because there are rumors of a man stalking middle school girls. Heiba advises Makoto to join them, but she says those girls aren't her friends and it would be weird for her to walk home with them. Heiba then offers to walk her home, but Kazuma overhears this, and he accuses Mr. Heiba of making a move on a student, which they quickly deny. However, Heiba changes the subject and asks why an idle student like him is alone right now, and Kazuma gets angry at being called an idol. That nickname has only brought him bad things. No boys want to be his friend because they're jealous of him, and girls only notice his looks and want to go out with him instead of offering their friendship. This touches Makoto because she did the same thing and tells him she knows what it feels like to be a loner. Mr. Heiba butts in and tells them that what they're feeling now is nothing compared to the loneliness adults feel, which saddens Kazuma even more. Then Makoto cheers him up, saying that you never know what the future holds. She used to think no one cared about her, and now she has someone watching her back, so she offers Kazuma her friendship, but he flatly rejects her. Mr. Heiba kicks Kazuma and tells him that if he accepts Makoto's friendship, it will be a friendship for life. After that, Heiba tells Makoto he needs help walking because his back hurts from jogging so much, and she helps him, complaining that there are no boys around. Kazuma gets the hint and helps Mr. Heiba walk, telling Makoto that he accepts her friendship. Days later, rumors about a stalker lurking around the school grow, and Mr. Heiba decides to give Makoto self-defense classes and shows her how a guy would attack her in an alley. Suddenly, Kazuma enters the room and looks at them suspiciously, so Makoto puts Mr. Heiba in a headlock, proving that she knows self-defense because her brother taught her a long time ago. Then Heiba says he summoned Kazuma because he is being stalked by girls all the time and advises him to tell those girls to stop. When Kazuma leaves, Makoto asks Heiba if he planned for her and Kazuma to spend time together today to strengthen their friendship in case he ever leaves, and Heiba says he's doing it for the both of them. They're both lonely students who need friends. After that, Heiba offers to walk her home, but she says Kazuma will walk her, and Mr. Heiba jokes that he's jealous but is happy that they get along. Later, Heiba runs into Kazuma walking home alone. He says the girls understand his annoyance and promise to stop following him. Then Heiba asks if he'll wait for Makoto, but Kazuma says they live on opposite sides of town, and there's no point in walking home together. Fear runs through Heiba's body, and he runs to find Makoto. Elsewhere, Makoto walks home scared. She lied to Mr. Heiba because she doesn't want to cause trouble if someone sees them walking together, but she can't help but walk in fear. Suddenly, she feels arms around her and panics, but it's only Heiba who breathes a sigh of relief that she's okay. He tells her they'll walk home together from now on, and she thanks him but notices his shoulder is hurt. Meanwhile, the police arrest the stalker, who was previously beaten and trapped by Mr. Heiba. A few days later, Makoto runs to Heiba's house because she found out he has a cold. She talks to him through the intercom and hears his hoarse voice so ill that she wants to rush in to take care of him, but he says there are things in his apartment he doesn't want her to see. Then Makoto says she could go home but wouldn't be able to sleep because she wouldn't stop thinking about how lonely he is today, and that convinces Heiba to open the door for her. When she enters, she's surprised by two things. Heiba has a black cat named Monroe, and his apartment is a mess. There's trash everywhere, and he clearly hasn't cleaned in weeks. Heiba excuses himself by saying that he didn't feel like cleaning because he doesn't have the strength to do it. He's so weak he can't drink water, and asks her to give him water through her lips. Makoto dodges his flirtations and takes him to his room, making him lie down while she cleans the house. But as soon as she gets down to it, he starts taking pictures of her, and she takes him back to his room. Heiba is so weak and tired that he can't help but feel melancholy looking at the photo of him and an older woman. It's incredible how, once again, a girl is taking care of him. Later, Makoto goes to check on Heiba and finds him unconscious on the floor, hugging a photo of him and a woman. She notices dried tears on his cheeks and she feels sad for him and decides to give him what he asked for before. She drinks some water and makes him drink it through her lips, then runs away before he wakes up. Later, Heiba wakes up and reads Mikoto's message. She wrote that the woman in the photo seems like a nice person. The following week, Heiba finds Mikoto in the storage room looking at a rope, and he worries about her again. However, she clarifies that she volunteered to clean the storage room for her homeroom teacher, and Heiba complains that her classmates are lazy because no one came to help her. While they clean, she can't stop thinking about their lips touching when she gave him mouth-to-mouth water that night and decides to ask him what's been on her mind all this time. What would he do to save a girl? At that moment, Heiba tells her that the steel curtain door is stuck and they're trapped. However, Mikoto is so skinny that she can fit through the gap. Heiba begs her not to leave him alone with Anne, the anatomy model. Then Mikoto returns to the storage room and asks him if everything they experience was a lie. She won't be mad if it was because it must have been painful for him to lie all the time. He laughs and corners her against the wall and takes her hand, placing it on his chest. Mikoto can't believe how fast his heart is beating. He says his heart wouldn't beat that way if he didn't like her. She believes him, but when he asks to feel her heart, she puts her hand on Anne's heart, making him scream. His terrified screams alert Mikoto's classmates, who go looking for help. They have a few more minutes alone together, so Mikoto says she can't go out with him, but she can't reject him either. He says he's happy with their half-hearted relationship anyway. When the PA teacher unlocks the steel curtain door, he says that someone sabotaged it on purpose, and Mikoto knows that it was Heiba with the intention of spending time alone with her and to force her classmates to help her clean the storage room. A few days later, Heiba runs into Mikoto at the cemetery. She came to visit her deceased relatives, and he came to visit someone special. She asked him if he believes in life, the afterlife, and he says no, because if he did, he will be in big problems. His teacher, who is the most important to him, would be disappointed in him. Before they say goodbye, Heiba asks if she has plans for the summer break, and she happily tells him that she's going to the summer festival with Kazuma. It's the first time she's made plans with a friend. He jokes that he's jealous because he wants to see her wearing a yukata, but deep down, he's happy for her. A few weeks later, Heiba and Mikoto meet up to enjoy the summer festival, and Mikoto notices that Heiba is also at the festival, but he's wearing a fake beard to go unnoticed. After eating candy, apples, and snacks, Kazuma and Mikoto sit down to rest, along with Heiba. Mikoto says out loud that after graduation they can continue enjoying the festivals, remembering that Heiba told her they can't do things as a couple until she graduates. Kazuma thinks she's talking to him and says they can do lots of fun things before they graduate. After that, Heiba walks off to watch the fireworks, and Mikoto takes advantage of Kazuma's visit to the restroom to follow Heiba. She shows him her yukata, and he thanks her for remembering how much he wanted to see her dressed like that. Before leaving, he hugs her under the bright sky of the fireworks and says that spending time with her is a bonus because his life should have ended in high school, and she confesses that her feelings for him are growing. In that moment, Kazuma appears and asks what they're doing alone, and Mr. Heiba excuses himself by saying that the teachers are also enjoying the summer festival. A few days later, the new semester begins, and Heiba feels sad because Mikoto avoids him every time he wants to talk to her, so he asks her to meet him after school as a student. Alone, he tells her he was worried about her because students tend to take drastic measures when summer break ends. She says it hadn't occurred to her, and he's happy to hear that. To his delight, she says she forgot to do her summer physics homework, and he offers to help her finish it right away. They sit very close together, and he explains how to solve some exercises that she fails to do because his proximity distracts her. When they're done, Heiba checks the sheets and realizes she'd erased the exercises she'd done to pretend she'd forgotten to do them, and smiles at the thought of her wanting to spend time with him. Afterward, Mikoto walks home, thinking about the summer break blues that Japanese students endure, when suddenly she sees a student crossing the street direct to a car, and a fear grips her heart, and just like Mr. Heiba once did, she runs to help. It turns out that it wasn't just her who jumped in to help. Mr. Heiba did too, but he decides to leave the situation to Mikoto. She doesn't know what to do and imagines she's Mr. Heiba and decides to take him to the taiyaki place, pretending to be lost. On the way, she asks him about his life. He's at Udo, a high school student who has lost his will to live because he works 364 days a year at a part-time job that pays poorly. He has no choice because his parents are poor. And not only that, his boss is a mean guy who always picks on him because he's a high school boy, and on top of that, he pays him less every now and then because he gets mad at him. Mikoto realizes that others had it worse than her and buys him a taiyaki. She confesses that she was in the same place mentally a while ago and gives him the advice Mr. Heiba gave her: find something he truly wants to do before leaving this world. Atsuko asked him why she wanted to keep living, and Mikoto can't help but think of Heiba and says her reason was love. It's a secret love she can't tell anyone, but still special to her. At that moment, Atsuko receives a call from his boss. He says an employee called in sick and needs a replacement, so he'll go and replace him right away. When Atsuko leaves, Mr. Heiba tells Makoto that she did well and asks her about her secret crush, and she embarrassedly says that he already knows who it is. At that moment, the teriyaki chef asks Heiba what he heard that made him do a happy dance, and now it's Heiba's turn to feel embarrassed under Makoto's watchful eye. Days later, to Heiba's horror, he finds Makoto in another confusing situation. This time she's sinking in the school pool, and without hesitation he jumps in to save her. The teacher and Makoto immediately ask him what he's doing, and he realizes he's interrupting his swimming class. It turns out Makoto missed the water accident simulation class, and this is a makeup class where she has to demonstrate what she would do if she ever accidentally falls into the water. This explains why she's wearing her school uniform instead of a swimsuit. The swimming teacher asks Mr. Heiba for an explanation, and he says that if this is a water accident simulation class, it's logical that someone would jump in to save someone who's having trouble. The teacher almost believes his excuse if it weren't for the fact that he doesn't have a second set of clothes, so she goes to get him one. Alone, Makoto assures him that she hadn't thought about ending it all by drowning because, according to some people, drowning is painful, and for her to know that worries Mr. Heiba. Besides, she knows how to swim, and her survival instincts wouldn't let her drown, and he assumes she learned to swim as a child in the summer with her friends. Makoto looks at him amused and says she never had any friends, she learned on her own. This makes him feel sad for her because it means she never had fun in the ocean, so he decides to show her what she's been missing. He takes her hand and tells her they'll dive into the pool right now on the count of 3, but when it's time to jump in, only he jumps in, and he feels so ridiculous that he almost misses her laugh. He swims to the edge of the pool and says it's the first time he's heard her laugh, and it warms his heart. At that moment, the swimming teacher arrives with a change of clothes for him and is surprised to see him back in the pool. He says he was practicing his swimming, so she offers to take his time, and he accepts. However, Makoto realizes something is wrong, and he confesses that he can't swim. Makoto can't believe that Heiba can't swim and didn't hesitate twice before jumping into the water to save her. Her heart aches for him because he always puts others before himself, and she suggests they go to the beach together. But first, he must learn to swim. Days later, Mr. Heiba finds Makoto in a strange situation again. This time, she's being strangled by a boy. He gets scared and drops the fluorescent light bulb ready to save her, and he almost interferes if it weren't for the art teacher scolding him. It turns out they were practicing the play for the cultural festival. Makoto is the main character, who is being attacked by her ex-boyfriend, a lazy and troubled boy. Later, Heiba, Makoto, and Kazuma meet at the gym to spend time together. Makoto tries to practice her lines while Kazuma complains about the cross-dressing maid cafe his class will be hosting. They decided he looked great as a maid, while Makoto was chosen as the main character because Sahara, the male lead, requested her even though she's terrible at acting. Heiba then comforts them by saying that the cultural festival is meant to be ruined. Some will do well and others poorly. It's all part of the youth experience, and that comforts them. Makoto keeps practicing her lines to say to Sahara, which makes Heiba jealous. He asks her not to get too close to that guy, and she says she won't fall for her co-star because she's not that kind of girl. Suddenly, he approaches her and pretends to choke her, and she acts speechless, just like she was supposed to in the scene. He says he'd know how to act like her lazy, troublemaking boyfriend, and she suggests he take her place because she doesn't think she's capable of performing at the cultural festival. Later, Mr. Heiba runs into Sahara, and the student drops his cell phone. Fortunately, Heiba manages to read that Sahara has a bet with his classmates. They bet that Sahara will make Makoto fall for him. After that, Sahara invites Makoto to an empty classroom for rehearsal, and when he puts his hands on her neck, he notices she's wearing a pretty necklace, the kind only boyfriends give to their girlfriends. He accuses her of having a boyfriend and leaves indignantly. It's obvious that if she has a boyfriend, he won't be able to make her fall for him. That night, Makoto calls Heiba and asks if he put the necklace on her when he pretended to be her co-star, and he admits that he did and asks her to always wear it. The next day, the art class is in a frenzy. Sahara has just quit the play, and Heiba immediately offers to replace him. At first, the art teacher is reluctant to accept him as the lead, but then she reconsiders. Heiba looks like a lazy, troublemaking guy. He's perfect for the role. Weeks later, the play is performed, and everyone who attended the school festival applauds. As the weeks pass, winter arrives, and so does Christmas Eve. Heiba tells Makoto that the snow reminds him of a story. Once upon a time, a student was staring at a frozen river, and suddenly, a woman approached him and asked him what he wanted for Christmas. And the boy wished to spend time with his loved ones, and she granted his request. After the story, Haiba asks Mikoto what she's doing for Christmas, and she says she'll go book shopping with Kazuma, which makes him jealous, but he still wishes her a good time. That night, Mikoto and Kazuma meet, and he can't help but look at the couples with envy. He wishes he and Mikoto were more than fiends, but she only sees him as a friend. After that, Mikoto goes to Heiba's house and gives him her Christmas present, a scarf for Monroe, his cat. Then, she asks him if he was the student in the story, and when he says yes, she asks him what he really wished for that night, and he sadly says he wanted a family. Mikoto blushes and says she can't give him a family now, but in the future, she won't call him Mr. Heiba anymore, just Jin. Heiba's face lights up, and he invites her into his apartment to give her a present, and she enters mortified because she feels like she proposed to him. Inside, he gives her a bag full of gifts, though they were all won in pachinko games. Before they say goodbye, Heiba tells Mikoto that this year he does believe in Santa Claus. A few days later, Mikoto notices something's bothering Kazuma and asks him what's wrong. He confesses that he likes a girl but doesn't know how to tell her because she's a weird girl. She says she understands him because she's in love with a strange guy and just wants him to be happy. Later, Mr. Heiba sees Kazuma worried and asks him what's wrong, and he says that the girl he likes sees him as a friend, and Heiba says he's in love with someone and just wants that person to be happy. Kazuma finds it odd because Mikoto told him the same thing. On New Year's Eve, Mikoto spends it alone because her brother is working as usual, so she's happy when she gets a call from Heiba, and she immediately asks him to watch the sunrise with her. But the only place without people right now is the cemetery, so they meet there. It's so cold that the hot canned drinks he bought for them are already ice cold. Even so, he opens one and drinks it, then hands it to her. Mikoto stares at the can, and he realizes how pure she is because she keeps staring at the can. If she drinks, it will be an indirect kiss. Then he takes the can away from her, and she accuses him of being distant with her these days. He says he's realized he's put a huge burden on her shoulders. Instead of watching the sunrise with other people, they have to hide. Not only that, he hasn't slept well these days because of the nightmares. Every night he dreams that he doesn't make it to the school roof in time, and she jumps. Then Mikoto makes him look at her and tells him that she's only alive because of him. He arrived in time and gave her a second chance. Thanks to him, she has a friend and has experienced a lot of other things. That warms Heiba's heart, and he tells her he does everything for her because he truly likes her, and he swears it by the first ray of dawn, although he's a little disoriented and confuses east with west. The next day, Mikoto goes to Heiba's house to make sure he gets a good night's sleep. She will stand guard by his side. Then, Heiba lies down on the couch and dozes for a while until he notices Mikoto looking lightheaded, and she says she made a promise at the first ray of dawn. She won't drink water until he gets a good night's sleep. He thinks she's crazy and brings her a stack of dry biscuits to make her crave water, but she refuses to eat them, so Heiba decides to drink water and give it to her through his lips. Suddenly, Heiba wakes up, disoriented, and asks what happened, and Mikoto says he fell asleep as soon as she arrived, and he can't believe it was all a dream. When he comes around, she says she'd like to get to know him better, and he realizes she hasn't yet read the letter he left in her gift bag. When Mikoto gets home, she opens the gift bag and finds the farewell letter Heiba wrote before he decided to jump off the roof in middle school years ago. When she opens the letter, she discovers it's not what she thought, but a letter telling her a little about his life as a high school boy. It turns out that a few years ago, Heiba decided to jump off the school roof but was stopped by Miss Mikoto, a careless and shameless teacher addicted to horse racing. Miss Mikoto didn't try to stop him, but instead asked him what she should eat today. The question was so simple that it threw him off balance, and she achieved what she wanted, to stop him from staring into the abyss. Miss Mikoto asked him why he wanted to jump off the roof, and he said he didn't feel part of this world. Besides, he has no siblings, parents, or grandparents, and lives with distant relatives who beat him up a lot. To make matters worse, his classmates found out about his family situation and created crazy stories about him. Some even thought his father was in jail, which made no one want to be his friend. Miss Mikoto sighed in understanding and said it wasn't bad not having a family. She was also an orphan and had no siblings, but Heiba retorted that she was a teacher, and they weren't the same. Miss Mikoto smiled and asked again what she should eat today, and Heiba gave in and suggested kimchi stew. He'd never tried it, but people say it's delicious. Then Miss Mikoto said she'd cook it today and invited him to her house for dinner. Heiba didn't want to go, so she said he could jump off the roof tomorrow. Today he should try a dish he'd never eaten. That worked, and Heiba went to his teacher's house. From that moment on, Heiba started spending more time with Miss Mikoto. She helped him raise his grades and gave him a purpose. He could one day be a teacher. As time went on, she became what he never had, his family. When Mikoto finishes reading the letter, she understands why Mr. Heiba is the way he is and also notices that it has many spelling mistakes. On Monday, Mikoto and Heiba meet on the school roof, and she asks him if he thought she would distance from him after reading the letter. When he doesn't answer, she says that high school Heiba is a part of him and that she appreciates him too, and takes his hand. Heiba's heart beats so fast that he can't help but say he wishes she would hug him whole. So, ignoring anyone who might see them, Mikoto hugs him. They are in the place where they both once considered jumping into the void, thinking they didn't belong anywhere. But in that very moment, they feel they've found their place in the world. A few days later, Mikoto finds Kazuma lying in the schoolyard staring at the sky. She asks him what's wrong, and he says he's afraid the girl he likes will disappear before he tells her how he feels about her. She realizes that could happen to her too. After school, Mikoto goes to Mr. Heiba's physics classroom and asks if he'll disappear anytime soon. He finds it odd, and she tells him about Kazuma's worries. Heiba then tells her that there's no need for her to rush into telling him about her feelings because he won't disappear anytime soon. He'll wait for her until after graduation, but Mikoto's concern never leaves her eyes, and he earnestly tells her that he loves her. Mikoto knows they can't be together now, but she still wants to make her feelings clear, so she approaches him, covers his ears, and tells him she loves him. He assures her he didn't hear what she said, and she finally feels her heart lighten and goes home. The truth is, Heiba didn't hear what she said, but he did record it so he could listen to it many times after the graduation. Unfortunately, Kazuma was listening then, and now he knows about Mikoto and Mr. Heiba's half-relationship. Season 2, months later, Heiba finds Mikoto standing near the edge of the school roof again, but this time she's only gone there to get her drawing paper, which flew off her easel. It turns out she has to paint something engraved in her memory, and Heiba is happy because he thinks she came to the roof to paint a picture of when they fell in love. Mikoto says this is a memorable place, but she's not painting about that, she's painting something much deeper. This piques Heiba's curiosity, and when he sees the painting, he freaks out. It's a painting of blue and black tones, and he thinks she's drawing the Jukai Forest, the famous Japanese forest where people go to end their lives. Mikoto quickly clarifies that it's not that forest, but a different one. She once got lost when she was a little girl. She was so scared that it stayed engraved in her memory, and that's exactly what the art teacher asked them to do. Heiba looks closely at her painting and asks why there are two people. She says she wishes she had an adult with her at that moment, and he asks if she would have liked him to be with her, but she teases him, saying he's a scary cat and would probably have been more scared than her. In any case, she survived both times, and thanks to that, she was able to meet him, which makes him smile. She feels embarrassed and says it's not a confession, and he laughs because she's very shy. Then he kneels down to pick up the brushes she dropped, and this is seen by Mikoto's classmates, who joke that Mr. Heiba is proposing to her. When they leave, she panics so much that she ends up staining his cardigan. Before going home, she promises to wash it even though he's not angry, and his look is so comforting that she feels a sense of déjà vu. She asks him if they've met before, and he jokes that they have. She even promised to go out with him when she grows up. A few days later, Heiba finds Mikoto angry in the science classroom. She doesn't want to talk to him, and he doesn't understand why until she asks him if he likes other girls, and he is shocked by the question. Then she says she's jealous. When they're in class, he calls the other girls by their first or last names, but when he talks to her, he calls her high school girl, and it bothers her. It's as if he's putting a barrier between them and doesn't do the same with other girls. Heiba can't believe she doubts his feelings after over a year of being in this semi-relationship, and he confesses the truth about why he always calls her high school girl all the time. For some time now, Mikoto has been more proactive in their relationship. She wants to spend more time with him and hold his hand when nobody is near, and that only encourages him to want the same. So every time he calls her high school girl, it's a reminder to treat her like a student or they'll be discovered. Then Mikoto realizes he's right. They should be careful with each other or they might be discovered and get into trouble. Even so, Heiba tells her again that he loves her, and without her realizing it, he steals her tie to keep her perfume close by. After that, Heiba goes to the taiyaki stand, and the cook, Shouta, tells him someone is waiting for him. He is Tsukasa, Mikoto's older brother. Heiba gets angry with him and shows him Mikoto's painting of her and someone else in the forest where she got lost. Tsukasa feels guilty because the painting creeps him out, and Heiba tells him he needs to spend more time with his sister because she clearly misses him, and this makes Tsukasa feel worse. Just then, they see Mikoto approaching in panic because Tsukasa is supposedly on a business trip, so Heiba puts a paper bag over his head to cover his face. Kazuma is also arriving, who wants to talk to Heiba about something secretly, so they leave while Mikoto buys several teiyakis for her brother. She always leaves him teiyakis at night, and he eats them. On the other hand, Heiba takes Kazuma to the bathhouse, and the boy tells him that he heard Mikoto confess that she loved him, and Heiba smiles because he finally knows what Mikoto said to him that day and explains to his student that he had his ears covered that time. Then Heiba realizes that Kazuma was worried about Mikoto because he likes her. Tsukasa overhears this and threatens to treat his sister well, but doesn't command much respect because Kazuma says he knows how bad a brother Tsukasa is to Mikoto. She told him that her brother is never home, works too much, and never talks to her. Heiba laughs at how pathetic Tsukasa is and says that he does this because Tsukasa still hasn't forgiven himself for what happened to Mikoto a few years ago. Tsukasa confirms this by saying that he comes home late on purpose to hide his embarrassed face. After that, Heiba and Kazuma leave and Heiba says he recorded Mikoto's confession to listen to someday. Kazuma gets angry on Mikoto's behalf and asks him to respond to Mikoto soon. Heiba says he will, so he takes out a recorder and begins his response by apologizing to Mikoto. The next day, Kazuma sees Heiba give the recorder to Mikoto and realizes that Mikoto is about to be rejected in the middle of the hallway where anyone would see her heartbroken. He runs over and covers her ears, but it's too late. She's already pressed play of the recording, and Kazuma hears Heiba tell Mikoto that he'll only give up on her if someone proves they can love her more than him. Kazuma realizes he's been played by Mr. Heiba and takes the recorder away from Mikoto so she won't hear the rest of the recording. Days later, Heiba apologizes to Mikoto for forgetting her birthday was yesterday, and she says she doesn't resent him because she doesn't celebrating her birthday. In fact, she didn't tell anybody about it. Deep down, she feels like she doesn't deserve to celebrate her birthday. Then Heiba asks her what she wants as a gift, and she says nothing. But that answer doesn't satisfy him, and he says he'll ask her again after class. Hours later, Heiba and Mikoto meet in an empty classroom, and she's honest with him. She believes her birthday isn't important because no one would care if she disappeared from this world. Heiba then hugs her and whispers in her ear she thinks his birthday isn't important. After all, he also thought he didn't belong in this world, and Mikoto understands what he means and caresses hands, saying that his birthday is very important to her. That relieves Heiba, so he pretends to give her a bouquet of invisible roses and urges her to hurry up because he's prepared a small celebration. He takes her to a restaurant where Kazuma, Shouta, and his wife are waiting. Kazuma apologizes because they couldn't finish coordinating her birthday party yesterday, and that's why they're celebrating today. Hearing this is like balm for Mikoto's heart. It means they've been preparing her surprise party since yesterday, and she can't stop the tears from rolling down her cheeks as she remembers the last time she celebrated her birthday was when she was 8 years old, and it was interrupted because her parents were called from the hospital where Tsukasa was. Once she dries her tears, the party begins, and Mikoto isn't going to leave a single cake uneaten. There are people who don't have anything to eat, and she doesn't want to waste a single bite. The problem is that everyone brought surprise cakes, even Tsukasa sent 2 cakes in secret. Later, Heiba finds Mikoto in the kitchen eating more cakes, and he assures her that none of them will go to waste, and to convince her to stop eating, he takes a strawberry in his mouth and makes her take it from her lips as if they would kiss. Weeks later, a new semester begins, and Mikoto invites Heiba to the storage room to discuss some rumors circulating around school. After each break, the students like to gossip about who's dating whom, and many suspect she's dating Kazuma. Mikoto expected a huge scene of jealousy and rage, but instead, Heiba is just pretending to be jealous and says that the rumor will serve as a cover for their relationship. If anyone finds out, it could end badly, so he advises her to let everyone else believe she's dating Kazuma. When Mikoto leaves, she feels sad and doesn't know why. After that, some girls ask Mikoto if she's dating Kazuma, and she clarifies that they're just friends, and when they ask if she likes Mr. Heiba, she says no. At the end of class, Mikoto waits for Heiba in the science classroom and tells him what happened. Some girls are starting to suspect them, which worries Heiba, and she asks if they'll end up like Romeo and Juliet if they're discovered, and he scolds her for being so pessimistic. Suddenly, the girls who interrogated Mikoto earlier see Mr. Heiba through the classroom window, and Mikoto manages to hide just in time before they see her. The girls ask Mr. Heiba if it's true that he's dating Mikoto, and he appeals to his bad reputation to make the girls realize that if they continue to spread these rumors, the one who will get hurt will be Mikoto, because she would never date a good-for-nothing like him. The girls almost bought his lies if it weren't for the fact that he ended his speech by saying he has a girlfriend, that she's beautiful, intelligent, and diligent. The girls again think he's referring to Mikoto. However, he shows them a photo of him and Shouta's wife, and the girls immediately start gossiping about how long it will take for the woman to break up with Heiba. When they leave, Heiba sighs in exhaustion. To continue this relationship, they must keep lying and act as distant as possible from now on. Days later, Heiba can't stand the distance between him and her any longer. They can't even interact in class. Then, one night, he asks Mikoto to babysit his cat, Monroe, because a thunderstorm is coming and the cat is having a hard time. Later, Heiba returns home and is surprised to see Mikoto since he thought she wouldn't come, but she says she only did it for Monroe. In any case, Heiba is happy to have her at his house. It's been a long time since they've been alone together, and they can do whatever they want, like kissing. But Mikoto rejects him. If they kiss, she won't be able to concentrate on her final exams. She has to go home and study hard, but he asks her to stay. He promises to help her study like a responsible teacher would. They sit together, and that's enough of a distraction for Mikoto. She asks if it would be productive to slap him every time she makes a mistake, and he says he'd rather sit closer to her every time she makes a mistake. That's the worst possible idea because she's making more mistakes than before, and she doesn't know if she's conscious of it because she wants to have him closer. Then he asks her why she's trying so hard, and she says it's the future. She wants to walk beside him as an equal, as a girl who graduated with honors, and that makes him proud of her. But the pleasure of being near her is too much, and he remains glued to her, helping her study. Hours later, Mikoto wakes up in his arms on the couch. At some point during the night, she fell asleep, and instead of waking her up, he carried her to the couch, so she slapped him. Weeks later, the semester ends and Mikoto's last summer as a high school girl begins. She's very nervous because her classmates invited her to a karaoke room, and she sings really bad. For an introvert like her, this is the worst thing that could have happened to her. Then Heiba comforts her by saying that he also sang in a karaoke room once with his classmates. It was one of the worst experiences of his life, but if he could overcome it, she can too. So he encourages her to go have fun with her classmates tonight. This surprises Mikoto. She thought he'd be jealous of her spending time with other boys, and he says he's jealous, but he would never forbid her from having fun in her youth. All he asks is that she sing for him now. He wants to hear her sweet voice before others do. Mikoto refuses because she's terrible at it and is afraid of hurting her lover's ears. At night, Heiba returns home and is surprised to see Mikoto on his couch. He thinks something's wrong, but she says everything's fine. Well, something happened in the karaoke room. It turns out she sat in a corner hoping no one would notice her, and when everyone sang, a girl asked who was missing and everyone looked at her. So she got brave and took the microphone, but not a single note came out of her mouth. Instead, she felt like throwing up and ran away. Then Heiba asks why she didn't go to her house, and she says he wanted her to sing for him earlier. He feels guilty that she missed out on the fun by coming to him, but she assures him she wasn't having a good time in the karaoke room and would rather spend time with him. Suddenly, she hugs him and whispers in his ear that she wouldn't mind if he was a little clingier with her. He says any man would die to hear that, and she, amused, pats him on the head. A few days later, Mikoto goes to Shouta's house, and his wife gives her Heiba's diaries and notebooks, which she reads avidly. Later, she falls asleep and dreams of Heiba as a high school student. She thinks he's doing summer homework like her, but in reality, he's writing in his school diary about how horrible his life is and how he's looking for ways to end it. After that, Heiba changes and becomes the Heiba she knows. He tells her they're in her dreams and can do whatever they want, but before he can kiss her, she wakes up. Later, Heiba arrives, and Mikoto scolds him for keeping her waiting so long that she fell asleep, and he apologizes when he sees her cute, angry face. Later, she tells him she has to write her school diary, and he says he remembers that and advises her to write a bunch of lies to fill the space. To his surprise, Mikoto says she doesn't want to do any more summer homework today, but instead wants to make memories with him. The first thing they'll do is light some sparkles. Although he's hesitant, she convinces him. Then they put on their yukatas and go out to the courtyard to play with sparkles. Unfortunately, Mikoto made a mistake. Instead of bringing sparkles, she brought incense. Seeing her disappointed face, Heiba assures her that they're making memories right now, and that's true. Then, Mikoto tells him that she read his notebooks and realized he was an honor student, and she also read what he wrote in his diary and smilingly says that since she met him, every day is eventful and there's no need to write lies in her diary, which makes him very happy. A few days later, Tsukasa goes to Mikoto's school because it's the parent-teacher meeting. He wants to see his sister studying, but doesn't want her to see him because he still feels guilty. When he enters, he looks for his sister's classroom to at least see her from a distance, but at that moment, she leaves the classroom, and Tsukasa immediately puts a paper bag over his head and pretends to be Heiba's friend. Mikoto thinks Heiba's friend is lost and takes him to Heiba's classroom. Heiba is surprised to see Tsukasa with a paper bag and soon realizes that he doesn't want Mikoto to know about him. So he makes up a story that Kazuma was looking for Mikoto and she goes in search of him. Alone, Heiba tries to take the paper bag from Tsukasa, but fails because he was wearing not one, but two paper bags. Tsukasa says he only came to the parent-teacher meeting because he had to, but his resolve to avoid Mikoto's face remains, which confuses Heiba. Tsukasa then says he was always a sickly child and spent much of his childhood in the hospital, which was detrimental to Mikoto because their parents barely paid attention to her, especially since she decided from an early age to be self-sufficient so as not to get in the way. Now he can't look his little sister in the face, who had to grow up too fast because of him. At that moment, they notice people coming and Tsukasa puts on his paper bag. Mikoto and Kazuma enter the classroom with the little boy. He was looking for his sister. Immediately, the boy starts tearing up Heiba's worksheets, so Mikoto and Kazuma entertain him by making origami and having fun. In a whisper, Tsukasa asks Heiba who Kazuma is, and he says he's Mikoto's friend, which pleasantly surprises him. He didn't know his sister was capable of making friends or smiling as widely as she is now. Her smile melts his heart. Later, the boy's sister comes to pick him up, and Heiba asks Mikoto about her brother. She says she loves him. That's an unshakable fact, which makes Tsukasa feel worse. Before Tsukasa leaves, Heiba asks Mikoto which of her parents came to the parent-teacher meeting today. She says her parents live far away and her brother wouldn't bother coming, but that doesn't matter to her anymore. This year is the last time she'll feel alone. That stirs Tsukasa's heart, and he looks Mikoto straight in the eyes and tells her he came to see her today, and she thanks him for his support. Later, Mikoto and Heiba go to eat teiyakis, and she happily tells him that it made her very happy to hear her brother's voice. He asks if she noticed everything, and she says yes, but she'll pretend not to for a while longer. A few days later, Heiba tells Mikoto that he wants to complete some of his bucket list wishes today. The first thing is to play the youth game, and nothing screams youth like sports. Mikoto doubts it's true, but she accompanies him to the school gym anyway. Then they put on skates, and Heiba says there's nothing more fun than skating, but Mikoto tells him that this activity is out of fashion, which surprises Heiba. Mikoto thinks that for him to play the youth game, he needs to look young and urges him to put on his school uniform, and incredibly, she thinks he looks great. Then Heiba says that the second best youth activity is riding a bike, so he goes to get one. Outside the school, he says that any boy would dream of taking his girlfriend on a bike, and she hops on but doesn't let him go forward because it's illegal. This discourages Heiba, but it soon passes because the bike wobbles, and Mikoto tries to support herself by hugging him around the waist. After that, Mikoto tells him that exams are coming up and nothing screams youth more than studying together, so they go to the library. Heiba gets so bored that he plays with the books and builds pencil stacks while she studies. Then Mikoto asks him what else is on his wish list, and he shows it to her. Unfortunately, none of them can be completed today because most of them are for the future, like marrying her and having children, wearing couple clothes, taking a bath together, or sleeping together. Heiba sees her surprised face and asks if she has a wish she wants granted today. She thinks for so long that he falls asleep holding her right hand. Mikoto can't wake him up to tell him she wishes she could go on a date with him. Later, Heiba wakes up from a good dream. He dreamed he had won the horse race, and this puts him in such a good mood that he asks Mikoto out on a date tomorrow. Next day, Mikoto takes a train and meets Heiba at a cafe on the other side of town, but the date doesn't get off to a good start because Heiba is hungover from drinking too much sake last night. She asked him why he chose a cafe so far away, and he says no one will recognize them here, but she doubts it. She feels other girls staring at them and thinks they're classmates, so she secretly watches them and realizes the girls aren't looking at her, but at Heiba. They whisper between giggles that Heiba is handsome, and Mikoto would agree with them, if it weren't for the fact that Heiba's handsomeness disappears every time he opens his mouth. Her train of thought is interrupted by Heiba, who's now more recovered and tells her that she brought her to this part of town because he wants to show her a place that's very special to him, and that makes Mikoto's heart race. They first pass by a crepe stand, and Mikoto thinks that's the special place, but it isn't. Then they pass by an outdoor cafe, and that's not there either. Finally, Heiba takes her to a forest and tells her that he once tried to end his life here, and that breaks Mikoto's heart because she feels a sense of déjà vu. She feels like she's been here before. Heiba says he looked for a place where he would be alone and no one would be able to find him, but instead he bumped into a little girl. The little girl wasn't afraid because she, too, had come here to disappear. She had heard someone in her family say it would be better if she hadn't been born. That broke young Heiba's heart, and to distract her from her sadness, he pretended to be afraid, and the girl placed her hand on his cheek and comforted him. That girl was Mikoto. She says she doesn't remember, but Heiba says she does. That's why she drew someone else with her in the forest. Finally, he reveals that he brought her here because today is his birthday, and she gets mad at him for not telling her sooner, and he says he's embarrassed to keep growing when she hasn't even finished high school yet. After that, they go to the port, and Mikoto leaves him waiting while she runs to buy him a bouquet of flowers for his birthday. She chooses a bouquet of white higginbana, and he is surprised by her choice because he had thought of giving them the same flowers for her birthday, but it wasn't the season. Then he takes the bouquet and kneels down, giving it to her. Mikoto is so happy that she jokingly asks him to return the money, but he does something unexpected. He hugs her, and she warns him that there might be people watching, but he says there aren't and whispers to her the meaning of the flowers they chose to give each other. In flower language, white higginbana means "I only think of you." Mikoto smiles and thanks him for being born and for finding her in the forest. Everything led to their final encounter. The moment is so romantic that Heiba wants to end it with a kiss. their first kiss, but Mikoto stops him, saying it's illegal and that they promise to wait until after graduation, which is getting closer. Heiba throws a tantrum worthy of a teenager, and she laughs and takes his hand, saying it's time to go home. Weeks later, graduation day has finally arrived, and Heiba can't help but remember how he reunited with Mikoto. He was walking up the stairs when he saw some girls bump into Mikoto. They apologized, saying they hadn't seen Mikoto, and the look of mortification on her face was so sad that it etched in Heiba's memory. Later, from his science classroom window, he saw Mikoto staring at the edge of the roof and ran to stop her because he knew she was the little girl he found in the woods a few years ago. Fate had brought them together again.